Okay, welcome everyone. Welcome to Leading with Glory. My name is Glory Divine, and today I have a special guest with me. Her name is my market again. She's so beautiful. It's my sister, guys, from another mother. So if this is your first time here, my name is Glory. This platform is called Leading with Glory, and this is a place where young leaders are made to be leaders that God can trust first and that men will want to follow. So if this is your first time, do well to follow us, do well to click the like button, to subscribe, to comment, and to share it with friends. Today we are having an honest conversations about confusion, prayers, results, and everything in between, especially while we are in our 20s. Okay, let's dive right in. Welcome again, Maiva, to Leading with Glory. I know you see me every day. Well, not every day. I see you often. It's my pleasure to have you here today. So, as I was saying before, we want to talk about preparation. I want to talk about the idea of doing things when you're afraid, doing things that feels risky. And I feel like presently, you are that portrait of a person that has decided to go on a journey, taking on whatever the risk, no matter the confusion, no matter the pain, if you know what I mean. So I just want to talk a little bit more about that. And before I go there, I want to share a story about me. So when it was time to apply for college, I really didn't think out of the box. I was thinking of a local university, something cheap so that my parents can be able to pay. Yeah, firstborn, so I was thinking about all the other people behind me. And there was this college application program that came to my school, and I ended up doing it fast forward. And they paired me with a school, and I remember at the time it was Wales State College. I loved the school. And as a Christian, I started praying about the school, right? Is this what I want to do? And one morning, I remember waking up and all the passion for the school had disappeared. Like, honestly, I I couldn't explain why I didn't like it anymore. I couldn't explain what changed overnight. I remember just calling the person that was mentoring me at the college application program and telling them I'm pulling out of applying ED for Willesby College. Oh boy, she went all out. She called my parents. Glory said that's not about it to Wesley. I don't know which school she's going to take for ED anymore. Like a whole lot of things. And fast forward, she asked me to pick a random other college that I'll apply to. And I ended up doing some research and I ended up finding Smith College, the one I'm going up now. And at the time, if I have to be honest, I never could pinpoint what made me choose Smith over Woodesley. What happened between my initial passion for Woodesley and how it crash landed into me deciding not to go to the school. And now that I think about it in light of your own experience, I feel like there was confusion, yes, but even in the midst of the confusion, I feel like God guided my path to be able to choose a school where I am now, and that feels genuinely well for me. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to talk about um what are your thoughts, honestly, when it comes to the mixture between prayer and actions. I know a lot of people feel like you pray, you pray, you pray. God does his job, it ends. And some people are like very intellectual and they're like action focused. I do the work. I mean, it's 2026. I have my resolutions. I have all the things I want to do. I do them. And then, what are your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts is like when you pray for something, it doesn't just stop at prayer. Also, it's like prayer is one step, but action follows prayer. If you're really having faith, it has to. There needs to be an action that shows that I'm having faith. So let's say if you hear when you hear an instruction, for example, of going here for school,
Mm-hmm.
it will take you applying to the school before you know that you got accepted. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't just, let's say, even if you have the idea of, I'm going to college and you're saying you're praying about going to college, it doesn't stop at praying about going to college. You need to apply to college to get into the college. And it takes especially moving to another place, like in your case, applying to a school that was out of your country, and it requires a lot of faith. And taking that step was what demonstrated you that is what demonstrates to you that God is in the midst of it. Because if you are only praying and saying, I want to go to this school, but you never take that step, how would you know exactly that God is leading you?
But I think some people are like, I need to pray until God speaks to me. You know what I mean? Like, it's either I want to hear an audible voice, or it's like I want something tangible to manifest. A prophet should come, I should kneel down, they should do the impactation, and then thou sayest the Lord. You know what I mean? Like, this very dramatic way of confirming before you take the initial step. Do you think it's wrong? What are your, I mean, in your day to day life, how do you think you approach this?
I think sometimes, right? Um, Sometimes it's important to have that to wait. Sometimes it's important to wait for the next instructions. But a lot of times we do that not because, like saying, talking about faith, not because we do, but because we want to see before we believe. Saying that I'm waiting for God to answer before I move should not always be the case. Especially, let's say, in your case, if you had said, I've lost passion for this school, and you have found Smith College, and then you start praying that, God, I want to go, and you are waiting for God to say go before you apply. It may never come, and you will find yourself asking, because it is not always on the waiting for the you. God speaks to us in many ways. Yeah. Your action sometimes is what proves is what is that answer that you are looking for. That he doesn't always come with the audible voice and say move. Before you move, I think a lot of times we do wait because we don't actually believe, or because we're scared. Fear holds us back a lot. And especially when it comes to taking big steps, it's a lot of times it's the fear that is holding us from taking that big step, not because we're waiting for God to speak. Because God has already spoken many times. If you're looking at through your journey, and even sometimes when you sit back and you analyze how you got to where you are, you will realize that every step of the way God has spoken to you in certain ways. Yeah. Not the way that you probably thought He would come, like having a vision or having a dream or an audible voice, but in many ways, like making your way through ways that you got accepted to the school. That is His confirmation that go ahead. But sometimes I think we're saying that I'm waiting for God to answer out of fear, not because we're actually waiting for Him to answer. So, oh yeah.
I feel like you just dropped it, Jeff. So you are saying that most of the times when we keep saying as Christians that I'm waiting for God to speak, actually it's not that we are waiting for God to speak. It's just that we are too scared to take the next step.
Mhm.
Whoa.
Think about leadership, right?
Yeah.
It takes boldness to lead a people.
Yeah.
And even as, like, this is leading with glory,
Yeah.
and this is for young leaders. Even as let's say God had called you at 19, that you're going to lead a team of people, you cannot say, I'm waiting for God to speak when He has already put the idea. Because speaking is not always through a voice, it's sometimes ideas. God would deposit in you ideas in terms of, you would stay like this and start thinking, I want to lead a group of people to start a fundraiser,
Yeah.
that we can raise money for this, and that.
Yeah.
That is the idea that came. So that's why God spoke to you, God deposited in you. Now you can, because when after you have sat down and you have thought of that, there was an initial excitement. I don't know if you sometimes you go that way. It's like there's an initial excitement. Oh, I want to do this. But the moment you sit down a little bit, you start thinking again about, am I going to be able to do this? What if I'm so young? I'm this. Those things are now they start fear, and now you start asking yourself, let me go and pray. And it's not because it's wrong to pray. It's always good to bring every idea to God. But now, after you have prayed, there follows an action. And I think a lot of times we say, I'm waiting. Now, there are times where you need to wait, because sometimes God gives you an instruction, and And even when that instruction comes and you take that step of faith to that instruction, the next steps, sometimes you need to wait for that direction, for that next step. So it's a balance of both. Are you praying and acting towards it? Or are you saying that you are praying and praying and praying until God speaks when He has already spoken? A lot of time He has, but to us we wait for a certain way than high, a certain way of speaking. Exactly. Fear is, I think, the biggest denomination here to holding us away from better those steps, like even in my journey, when I heard the instruction of applying for the school biblical counseling, and that time I was at work, I was just working, and it took a lot of prayer even to first of all apply, but I think the wise things to do is to surround yourself with people who encourage you, especially like-minded, because if it wasn't that I had people around me that were like, spoke the truth to me, and like, you apply first. If you don't get in, you didn't lose anything, you know what I mean, right? So when you find out that instruction and you bring it into prayer, there needs to follow an action. Yes. And the action was applying to the school. Now, after applying to the school, I also had to again pray and put it into the hands of God. So it's like, what I'm trying to say? It's like as you go, then action need to follow.
I want to give a little bit of context as to what she's talking about. So Maeva works in healthcare. She got a bachelor in marketing, then went into healthcare and had been working ever since. And recently, she felt like she had an instruction from God to pursue her education with a master. It was a shocking thing that her master's was not the conventional master. It was more of like a master in theology, like seminary was it again?
It's a master in biblical counseling, the
Partial theology. And it was in another state. So what she needed to do was to quit her current job, which of course brings some stability. You already know how your day to day, the workflow, how much money you're making, and then you have to quit the job to go and do school in another state, in another area where you don't have a job, where you don't have family, where you don't have people. So I think it was a very huge step. And that's why when I started, I said she's someone who I feel like embodies this idea of going and doing things even when you're scared and taking the risk. But you brought up something that I actually like. You said that what holds us back most of the time is fear, and that's why we try to hear God when He has already spoken. But you also said if you realize that you are scared of doing things, surround yourself with people that can encourage you. I think it's really important because I feel like young people, it's easy to get distracted by the fear, to forget about the fear, or to even put on yourself, especially as young leaders, where you enter rooms where you are maybe the only young person, you are the only one from your background or whatsoever. It's easy to tell yourself that I am too young. I haven't got to that much experience yet. I'm still at the early days of my career. I don't think I can take this role. I don't think I can take this position. And I think having people that can encourage you towards your dreams, towards telling you things like apply, even if you don't get it, even if you fail now, at least you didn't lose anything, you tried back. I think it's a really important thing. I was also wondering what else helped you when you were feeling scared, of taking this step. What is another thing that you feel like helped you into doing it scared or doing it confused?
I think it's just reminding yourself that God is with you in the process, and that if you're going to make the wrong move, He's going to deliver you out of it. That was me. So in every step, like no matter how scared I was, it was just remembering that He's guiding me. And if and one of the like the pressing thing when you know that God is leading you is that peace. So in every decision that I was making towards the school, if I had the inner peace, then I knew it was God. Like, because mind you, applying to the school meant I had to quit my job, like I said, and my job was like it sustained me financially. Yeah. And I had to move to another state where at the time I didn't have housing. I had not yet figured out how I was going to pay for the school. So there was a lot of things on the line where I could have looked at those situations and be like, none of those I figured out, therefore I'm not going.
I just even want to pause and say something. You said something. There were a lot of difficulties on the ground. So the fact that you have an instruction from God or an idea from God, wonderful idea, doesn't mean that you will not have problems. It's very most likely that you have a lot of issues, a lot of problems, a lot of things that you have to overcome. So I just want to say it there. But
Yeah, there will be many obstacles on there. Even as a young leader taking the decisions to lead, to be or to step into that role of leadership, there will be a lot of obstacles, a lot of things that will come on the way and be like trying to stop you, obviously, but you have to just keep going and rise above that. And also understanding that even if you fail in one step, it does not mean that you failed. Yeah, it's just a stepping stone into the other. Like you have to you take back and you reevaluate like where did I go wrong here? And then you know what I mean? Because yeah, applying to the school, there are many different things I had to do. And even for getting to meet with my pastors at time. And I had to sit down and say, okay, I forgot to meet with this person to ask them for, like advice, instruction. Then you have to just come back and make plans again to do that so that you don't miss that. You don't stay down if you fall, you keep going.
I remember someone told me, I think it was last year, that there's a difference between failure as an event and failure as a reality. When you understand that failure is an event, it means that when you fail, you're like, it's just an event, it will come and it will go. But when you take failure as a reality, you start embodying what failure is, and you start telling yourself, I am a failure. Whereas if it's an event, I failed and at that particular thing, that doesn't mean that I'm a failure in a whole. But I want to take this question a little bit further. So I was interviewing somebody, a candidate for my non-for-profit work. And it was for a role about learning and content, like a showrunner, if we say it like that. And she came recommended from somebody else. Wow. So when she submitted her application, I went all out on her socials to look at what work has she done in the past. So Facebook, LinkedIn to see has she been active in the non-for-profit world? Has she been active? All those things are like screening. Well, I stumbled on her Facebook. Her Facebook was outstanding. Wow. Short of word. Like you see her posting about conferences she went to, when she was speaking with people, mentorship session, if she was training girls, like pictures, quotes all the way, like things that my expectation went up. I have to be honest. So I invited her with my EA for the conversation, to talk a little bit more about the role, talk about is there a fit to hire you. Honestly, as I was inviting her for the interview, in my head is that this girl has the job. If she can maintain the same impression I had of her on her Facebook page, she got the job. Oh, I was so disappointed. Wow. I was. She came first of all, we did a job interview on the phone. She didn't connect with her computer. The lighting was not that good. And understand that they had these backgrounds. I excuse that because I'm like, oh, maybe you're in a village, maybe you're somewhere the lights never cut the light or maybe or whatever. So I asked her, why are you interested in this role? And the first thing she tells me is her friend recommended the role to her and she believes she can do the role. Full stop. And then I go ahead and I ask her, what is the role you're applying for? She couldn't put two and two together. She didn't take the time to read the job description. She didn't take the time to do research about the organization. She didn't take the time at all. But I still had that impression of her that, bro, if what I saw on your Facebook page is real, you know what I mean? So we told her, we understand that maybe you didn't have time to look at all the things. Take 2 hours, go and read about the organization, read about our programs, and come back for the interview. She came back and she was still not. It felt like black and white. The person I was watching on Facebook was so outstanding, and the person with whom I was conversing, for lack of word, could be qualified as mediocre, ill prepared, didn't even come prepared, wasn't the same person, no eloquence in speech, no confidence, nothing. Now, my question is, when we say that we pray and we make action, what is the balance between the actions that we portray on our socials, the packaging of it, and the content of it?
We're saying that we're at the what is the bias? If what you are portraying online is not what you are already, then it's fake. Because who you are is the truth. Because that means you are portraying something that is not real. However, if you truly are somebody who says, I pray and I act, you have to that character has to be in you. Like genuinely. It cannot be because I know a lot of times on social media people portray a certain
I mean, you know the narrative of like packaging. It's whatever you do, package and package it well.
packaging yourself for the media views, but your brand is you, right? You are a brand in yourself. So the way that people see you online has to reflect who you are in person in terms of the work that you do. Let's say if you are someone who's seen on Facebook Market as a really good or Facebook as a really good breeder, and when everybody go into your salon that have this experience, it has to be the same in real life. Because if I go to your salon because I saw something online and it does not reflect in the real life, then you are a fake. There is a fake. Because who you are, first of all, it has to reflect in reality on whatever else platform that you are.
No, I was so disappointed. I literally told the guy that, and I was like, I'm so sorry. But they say the first impression matter, but the second impression matters.
That's you. And on that, even I have to say, like, sometimes people look at their I don't know how to put it well. For example, if you are somebody who is famous, right?
Yes.
Now maybe you are looking. Sometimes people look at, oh, my fame will speak for me. You always have to be prepared. That goes back to what I was saying with you online has to reflect you in person because otherwise it's fake. If you think that because online if people see you, then they will just hire you because of how you are, the thing that you put online is not right because you still have to go through the process. Are you prepared? And preparation is needed for everything. Even if you are someone with 1 billion followers and someone wants to hire you, not everybody will look at your followers and say, I'm hiring her. They will look at your followers, they will say, okay, this seems like to be a good candidate.
Like the first vetting process. Exactly. Like it's just the screening pies up, and that's the screening.
Yeah, that's the package that you put there. Now, when they come to interview, you have to reflect. You have to speak of your experiences and you have to come prepared. I've heard about it. This is why you do. This is why I'm qualified to do the job that you are interviewing me for. The fact that you have been recommended by somebody else is
It carries you.
it is not even
I think that I was even shocked because now it feels like if the person who recommended her recommending another person, I wouldn't give the same esteem. Yeah, if I had to say, like the person who recommended me didn't do and was so poor. So it's like as you're going into places, especially under the recommendation of people, because I know that nowadays people are big on networking, sponsorships, mentorships, whatever. You need to make sure that you are not disgracing the person that helped you, else you are closing the door. I felt really bad about it. And I was like, is it just me or is the packaging notion a problem that I think? I'm not saying people should not package themselves, but I feel like as you are thinking high of the package you want to put, you should also think high of who you are. Like invest in yourself, invest in self-development. And it's 2026. A lot of people have a lot of dreams, I'm sure. But they will want to package it like package it on LinkedIn, package it on Instagram, on Facebook, and all of these places, and forget that the real package is there. And when people open the package or open the box, it's actually what is inside that matters. You know.
exactly. And when you see things like that, let's say all the experiences that I've had and posted on social media and you talk to me and it does not reflect, it cancels it out. I don't know if you understand, like it cancels out the all that I had of you with that, like wow, you really have been you have done a lot. But who you are, if your character does not reflect it, you have cancelled it. Your character is very important, especially when we talk about leadership.
Yes.
Your character is very important. A good leader always grows. Is someone who's always willing to grow and improve. A good leader, because who you are as in like your character wise speaks a lot about you as a leader, as a person, a child, a daughter. People will talk about you solely based on your character. Let's say at my old job, right? I I personally did not know that I had left such a good impression on the people, because and the day where they threw me a send off party. Yeah, all they were talking about my character, as in I bring this peace around and I'm always quiet, always willing to learn. Because a lot of times, let's say as Christians, we think that because we are Christians, things will just, yeah, we think that happen. We no are sent, we are sent. But your character had like you have to allow God to grow you, and your character is very important, very important. Think about a child of God representing God. Think like you are representing God, meaning that when people see you, they should be seeing Him. So if your character stinks, you cannot say that you are representing Him.
I think there is also a balance to this thing, and I agree with you about the character part, but I also feel like sometimes people choose to have character and forget about the skills. I feel like it's important to have both of them. It's important. Skills will open the door because you are eloquent, because you talk well, because you know the digital marketing or whatever, because you are the best in your field. If you think that way, it opens the door for you. But what keeps you in there, I feel like, is your character, your ability to talk with people, communicate with people. So at the end of the day, it's really about this thing where you said your brand is you.
Is you.
Is you. When people open the package, they need to see.
Yeah, so
The beauty.
so all of those are like question. You cannot have character without and go into a workplace without skills. You need you need to you need to have it all. And there's a balance. Obviously, I'm not saying you have to be perfect. Yeah, but as you grow in your skills, grow in character, grow in every area. Don't just go to a job thinking that because I got recommended, I will have the job.
Yeah.
You need to go prepared for the interview, because even as people recommend you, there's an interview process. I think a lot of time in those cases, people think, well, my friend recommended me, that means that I have the job. That is wrong.
Yeah.
That is wrong. Even if as the person hiring, in my mind, you have the job.
Yeah.
As I put you through the process of interview and you fail, you don't have the
You don't happy. You don't worry. I think we are going to stop on part one here. And I think we got two very important things from this conversation. The first thing is you need prayer followed by actions. And usually when you say you want to hear God, double check that it is not fear speaking, because it may be that God has already spoken and you are just scared. So you want to hear again. You wait tirelessly. And the second thing we talked about is, please, as you are packaging yourself, consider the fact that you are the brand. So invest in yourself, invest in your self development. Let it be that what you are posting online, the way you appear externally on socials, let it not be that it is not who you are. If you oversell yourself on socials and under prepare yourself in real life, you end up being a disappointment. So stay tuned for part two. Again, this was Leading with Glory, a place where young people are made to be leaders that God can trust and a men will want to follow. And this is my beautiful sister from another mother, Maiva Kepkan. So watch out for part two.